The night Washington changed forever began quietly. No flashing cameras, no headlines yet. Just a black limousine gliding through rain-soaked streets toward the White House. Inside the car sat Dean Martin, singer, actor, comedian. And, in the eyes of many, just a charming entertainer. But tonight, he wasn't here to perform. He wasn't here to joke. And he definitely wasn't here to smile. Tonight, Dean Martin was here because the President of the United States had personally requested him. And nobody outside the Secret Service was supposed to know why. A man behind the mask. Dean leaned back in his seat, staring out the window as rain streaked across the glass. The city lights blurred into golden lines like memories he could never quite erase. To the world, Dean Martin was Dino, the smooth crooner with the whiskey voice and the easy laugh. But inside, he was still Dino Crocetti, the shy kid from Ohio who once worked in steel mills and boxing rings just to survive. Fame had changed his life, but it hadn't healed his past. Tonight felt different, heavy. Like destiny was waiting on the other side of those iron gates. The driver slowed. Two black SUVs pulled in behind them. And suddenly, there it was. The White House, sir. Step out of the vehicle. The limo stopped. Before Dean could move, 4 Secret Service agents surrounded the car. The door opened. "Mr. Martin," one agent said, voice calm but firm. "Please step out slowly." Dean did. Rain hit his shoulders. Flashlights scanned him. One agent patted him down. Another searched his jacket. His ring was examined, his cufflinks, even his shoes. Dean raised an eyebrow. "Fellas," he said softly, "I sing into microphones. I don't fight wars." No one laughed. One agent leaned closer. "Sir, tonight is sensitive. We need full compliance." Dean nodded. Inside, something felt wrong. Not dangerous, but important. A president waiting alone. They walked him through quiet hallways. No press, no staff, no applause, just silence. At the end of the corridor stood a wooden door. 2 agents opened it. Inside the room, a fireplace burned softly, a desk covered in papers. And, standing near the window, the President of the United States. He turned slowly. "Dean," the President said, "thank you for coming." Dean took off his hat. "Mr. President," he replied, "you don't ask a guy like me to come at night unless something big is on your mind." The President smiled, but it was tired. "You're right." The handshake that wasn't supposed to happen. They stepped toward each other, but before their hands could meet, stop. Secret Service agent rushed in. "Sir," he said urgently to the President. "Protocol does not allow unscheduled physical contact." The room froze. Dean's hand was halfway extended. The President's was too. They were inches apart, the agent continued. "I want you to reach them." Dean closed the folder. "And you want me to do it quietly." The President nodded. No cameras, no announcements. Just one man. Meeting people where they are. Dean's inner battle. Dean stood up. He walked to the fireplace. Flames danced like memories. He thought of his father, an immigrant barber who worked himself to death, his mother praying for food, his younger self fighting in underground boxing matches for rent money. He turned back. "You're asking me to stop being an entertainer," Dean said, "and start being something else." The black car didn't follow Dean. It hunted him. A town with no lights. Dean arrived in the next town just before sunset. Not a single streetlight worked. Not one store window glowed. The place looked like a ghost that forgot how to die. His driver whispered, "Sir, we shouldn't stop here." Dean looked out. "This is exactly where we stop." They parked near an old theater with its sign half fallen. Riverdale Pictures closed. Dean stepped out. The wind carried whispers, not voices, warnings. The stranger in the alley. As Dean walked behind the theater, He heard footsteps, not rushed, measured, controlled. "Mr. Martin," a voice said from the dark. "You sing too loud." Dean didn't turn. "You follow too quietly." The man stepped into the dim light. No face, just a coat, and cold eyes. "You're visiting people you're not supposed to," the man said. Dean faced him. "I don't need permission to care." Climbed onto a broken crate and spoke to workers gathering around. "I'm not a politician," Dean said. "I'm not here to sell you dreams." He paused. "I'm here to remind you that you still matter." People cried. People stood taller. A tea suckled somewhere. Someone started to panic. The storm didn't come from the sky. It came from people. And it was headed straight for Dean Martin. A city holding its breath. Dean returned to Washington under cover of night. No press. No spotlight. Just rain and tension. The same gates opened for him again. The same black corridors. But this time, the silence felt louder. A Secret Service agent walked beside him. "Sir," the agent said quietly, "some very powerful people are angry." Dean stopped walking. Then I must be doing something right. The meeting they tried to cancel. Inside the Oval Office, the president stood alone. No advisors. No photographers. No staff. "Then let's stop whispering." The president faced him. "You want me to go public?" Dean nodded. With everything, the president hesitated. Then slowly, he reached out his hand. Dean looked at it. This time, there was no agent stopping it. They shook, and the moment was captured. Not by cameras, but by history. The speech that no one could erase. That night, the president went live. Not a press conference. Not a prepared statement. A confession. "My fellow Americans," he said, "tonight I want to speak about something we've ignored too long." He talked about forgotten towns, broken workers, lost veterans, children without futures. Then he said, "Man named Dean Martin reminded me who we're supposed to be." Phones rang across the country. People stopped eating. People stopped arguing. People started listening. The backlash, but power doesn't fall quietly. By morning, headlines screamed, "Entertainer interferes with politics." "Dangerous influence, unauthorized missions." Dean read them in silence. An agent said, "They're trying to destroy your image." Dean smiled faintly. "They're too late." Dean's final walk. Dean left the White House on foot. No car, no escort. Just him and the city. People began to recognize him. A man tipped his hat. A woman wiped her eyes. A veteran saluted. Dean stopped at the gate. Turned back once. Dean Martin never talked about that night again. But people who met him afterward said something changed. His smile was deeper. His voice was calmer. And when he sang, it sounded like hope.